Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the ODPP Café. My name is Anita Onuko. I'm your host for the show. I hope you're warm where it is or you're keeping warm. It's been quite a cold month for Nairobi. So today we are live on location at the headquarters of the ODPP, and most especially at the contact center. We are also live on Facebook at the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution. We are also on Twitter and on YouTube Live as well at the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions Kenya. So remember to put Kenya so that you get the correct link. We welcome you to follow us on Facebook. We welcome you to follow us on Twitter, subscribe to our channel. We also invite you to invite someone to follow us on our social media channels so that you get to learn something about the law. The show is about sensitizing you about matters of the law. Sometimes you're either in conflict with the law or in contact with the law. So we are trying to educate you to know what to do in case any of those two things happen. So as always on the show, we start with a roundup of the courts. But for today, because we are live on the in the contact center, I want to just take us through what happens here in the contact center. And for that, I want to introduce my colleague here, Rose. She's going to introduce herself better so that she tells us what is going on here and, of course, to give us an update on the election preparedness of the ODPP, because we are just a few days away to the election. I think 3 days now. So we are on the final lap. So are we ready yet? So let's hear what the ODPP says about our readiness for the election. So Rose, karibu sana to the show.
Asante Anita.
And I'm glad it's your first time to actually be on the show. So yes, as always, introduce yourself.
Okay.
Tell us who you are, what you do, and of course give us a context of this, where we are now.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much. My name is Rose Kipiego. I'm in the Corporate Communications Division of the ODPP. And in this context, I'm the Communications Contact Point Person in the Elections Preparedness Committee. Yeah. So welcome to the call center.
Karibu sana.
And this is the team on this morning shift.
Watu wasalamiane kwa hewa tafadhali. Ama mnaangalia tu simu.
They're busy receiving calls and seeing texts. Yeah. So as we are all aware, this call center was launched by the DPP on Wednesday this week. And it's been operating since like the last 2 weeks, but it was officially launched on Wednesday. So basically what's going on in this center is that we've given the public the toll-free lines so that at least they are able to reach us without any struggles that, oh, I don't have airtime and I have this very urgent case I need to report. So we have given them the toll-free lines, and what we are doing is to receive and document their calls, their information. Like we have a register. I know we've gone digital, but there's that still manual aspect that we have to put in place. So we have this register that after when we are getting a call from the public, we have a separate notebook, just jot, and then we now transfer it here.
Okay.
And what goes into this, we have the caller details, their location, and then we capture the details of the information they're giving us. And then with this team, we have prosecutors, we have researchers, we have, it's
so
a hybrid.
So what happens when I call?
So when you call, we document what you're saying, and we will advise. If it's something that we can give you a quick answer, we will, but of course we have that on record. And if there's anything that we probably need to refer to some of our stakeholders, like the investigative agencies, we work closely with them. We get to reach out to them to follow up closely on that. And since we have it documented, we will still follow it up. It doesn't just end here.
Okay.
Yeah, after that we will follow up even tomorrow, next week.
So what's the role of the prosecutor here? You said there are prosecutors here?
Yes, because now we have some of the cases out there, most of them actually, they are related to crime. So of course they're here technically to give that advice, that technical advice. Yes, to know like which agency needs to take up this matter and how do we go about it, what do we need to do on from our side.
Okay, can I send up, please call me? Not your line.
You don't need, because that is a toll-free line. So,
so I don't have to have airtime to call you?
You don't have to.
So, so what sort of calls are you expecting from me as a public? What do you want to hear when I call you?
Any election-related matter.
You need my name?
Or the details? Yes, we need your name, your location, and then you give us the details of whatever issue you have.
Okay.
Yes.
So will I need to come to give evidence, become a witness?
Depending on what case it is. Yeah, really.
But
that is why we're taking the details.
Because of that.
And that's why we have Witness Protection Agency.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure you're having one of them in
yes.
the show today.
Yes.
Just to give assurance to the public that you can actually even call and give us that information without really giving us so much about yourself.
Yeah.
But as long as you've given us the location, so we will work around it. Because we don't want to discourage people from being free to
call.
Share.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. That's really interesting. So it is 24/7?
It's 24/7.
Okay.
So we are working here in shifts.
All right.
Yeah.
And we have the numbers on our socials?
Yes, we do. We have on Facebook, Twitter.
Yeah. All right. So now, how else has the ODPP prepared for the elections? Are we ready?
Yes.
What have we done so far?
Oh, okay. So maybe just to start with, when we started preparing the compendium, which is a guide to how the prosecutors and other stakeholders are going to really work around it and see how to handle any election-related matter, be it hate speech, whatever. Yeah, so we developed that compendium. We had a stakeholders validation workshop where we had the stakeholders to come and look through and see whether we've actually captured, because we are just not working in isolation. We have everyone on board. So we validated and then we have it launched. And after the launch, we went to sensitize the public.
Okay.
Yeah. We developed also the information and education communication material, just some simple fact sheets to reach out to the public. So as we were going around the country, training prosecutors and stakeholders on how to use the compendium, we also reached out to the community, because the compendium is such a complicated document.
I was about to ask you, how did you move from the boardroom to the people,
kwa
ground?
Yeah, kwa ground. We had to actually simplify that compendium for them. So we had fact sheets, both in English and Kiswahili. So we went distributing. Besides that, we also got prosecutors to go to the radio stations and TV stations, talking in the various local languages that we have in Kenya, so that at least we reach out to that mama who's digging at the farm.
And did you reach them?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
We did, yes. And we are continuing. It has not stopped.
Okay.
We are still continuing with that community sensitization.
All right.
But we are done with training of prosecutors and stakeholders.
How many did you train?
Over 200.
Prosecutors?
Yes, from all over the country.
Okay.
Yeah, we had focal persons trained who would then now go and work with the rest. Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Anything else about preparedness? Are we ready, you think?
Yeah, we are ready. We are ready.
Are you ready?
Oh, yes, I am.
All right.
Yeah.
So, asante sana.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
We wish you well, definitely, as you do this. It's 24/7, guys, as you've had it. The numbers are on our socials. We are going to share them again. You can call and just report any election offenses that may be happening in your area. We are seeing a lot of voter bribery. We are seeing people just being told maybe not to vote. And of course, other offenses that come along during elections. And of course, it is our hope as ODPP that you will be peaceful wherever you are, because peace doesn't come from any institution but from yourself. Start from yourself, start with your family, and just preach peace so that you can go through this period differently and better equipped, because we've learned from the past. So that was the ODPP call center. It was launched on Wednesday by the DPP. It is 24/7, and we welcome you to call and engage with the prosecutors and the researchers on call. Asante sana. So we are going to leave you with a video of the launch that's going to run for a few minutes as we transition to the show with our guest on the other side. Thank you.
The Office of the Director of Public Prosecution is cognizant of the fact that Article 2.6 of the Constitution makes international instruments applicable and laws of Kenya, and some of them speak to elections. For that reason, we are prepared to take our stand and to take our place in making sure that we have a free, fair, and credible elections which have integrity. And for that reason, we have called you here to demonstrate what the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution has prepared and is ready to offer Kenyans, so that we can be part and parcel of a Kenya that is happy to exercise democratic powers of free elections.
Whatever information we collect here will be utilized to make the decision to charge individuals who have violated citizens' rights or has been involved in crime and criminal acts against those who want to engage in peaceful elections. This information can therefore, whatever information we'll have here will be used in Kenyan courts or tribunals or the ICJ if it has to, or other international courts. and we are preparing ourselves for that eventuality. So this will be a very important tool to allow us to be effective in discharging our mandate and in ensuring that we deliver a peaceful, free and fair election.
This afternoon, the DPP has launched the ODPP Elections Call Center. And what it entails is just a reporting tool where we will have officers manning this call center, receiving calls from members of public or really anybody on any matter touching on elections. We will then be able to decide whether it is a case that we need to refer to the agency concerned or give real-time advice on what we think needs to be done with the information that will have been relayed to us.
Even as civil society, we understand our capacity. We know that whereas we will be engaging in election monitoring and observation during this period, we cannot be everywhere and we cannot see everything. So such opportunities and such platforms allow for Kenyans to be safe enough to come forward and say that they have seen, witnessed, heard issues that are happening in the community during this election period. Crime has no expiry date. We trust that through this initiative launched today and with the work that he will do, coordinating with other agencies, that we will still get justice as Kenyans. And particularly that these cases, as we document them, as we address them, will also help us to better manage election-related offenses into the future. It's not just about August 9th, but we will also have other elections coming thereafter.
Kwa tunaomba afisi ya DPP vile vile iweze kumulika maeneo yale tunayaita kwa kimombo hotspots, ambapo Mombasa na Pwani ni mojawapo, na tutatumia kituo hiki kuweza kufikisha hayo malalamiko ili hatua mwafaka ziweze kuchukuliwa.
The other component of this tool is that prosecutors will be able real time to report on the cases that they have been able to register, what decision they have made and what action they have taken. At the back end, we have administrators, and we propose to have about 6 administrators, DPP being one among them. So at the key of a button, he can have a glance of the cases that have been reported, the status of those cases, what cases are prevalent. It also has a component of a mapping tool. You can be able to tell what are the hotspots in the country and what is the nature of offenses that are prevalent, either throughout the country or region-wise.
This tool is also very important because we believe that after the election period, the Office of the Public Prosecution will have data that will be coming from across the country that will not necessarily be festered around this period as we go into elections. And because of the fact that the Office of the DPP does not have to really institute prosecutions during this period and can do so thereafter, they will have that kind of leeway to do so even way after the elections are concluded. So we are very delighted that this platform has been launched.
We want to urge all Kenyans to utilize this toll-free number, and it's our belief that it will be publicized so that every Kenyan can be able to use it and report cases of offense. We want, as an organization, kind of reiterate our support to ensuring that violence will not be gone unattached and unattended to, and that human rights will be observed during this particular electioneering period.
We are confident that with this initiative we'll be able to get action even if it comes after the election day. So once again, DPP, congratulations for this initiative.
Kwa wale ambao wanalenga kuleta michafuko, huu ni ujumbe kwa wao kwamba mwaka huu vitengo vya serikali na visivyo vya serikali vimeungana, na huu ni mfano mzuri kuhakikisha kwamba mambo kama hayo hayatatokea. Na yakitokea, wajue kwamba tuko ngangari, tuko tayari na hatua zitachukuliwa. Kwa wananchi tunawaomba tuweze kutumia vituo kama hivi ambavyo vimeanzishwa kwa sababu yetu sisi. Kwa hivyo tuchukue zile namba za simu, tujue ni vipi tunaweza kuingia katika kituo hiki kwa kupitia simu zetu za rununu, na tuhakikishe tumeweza sote kuchangia uchaguzi huu. Kusiwe na ghasia, kusiwe na fujo, na yoyote yule ambaye atakuwa na nia kama hizo ajue kwamba watu wameungana kwa pamoja kuhakikisha kura hizi zibakie za huru na za haki.
I commend the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions for the development that they are launching today. This dashboard is a major contribution and a major deterrent to those that may come to commit election offences at this time. As Amnesty International, we will recommend this dashboard to our 2,000 members, to the 20,000 supporters we have across the country, and we will also, under the Police Reforms Working Group, ensure that the monitors, I think there are about 250 human rights monitors that have been deployed by several organizations, that they will use this dashboard to essentially bring people to book should they need to.
This elections call centre is an important resource and tool to be able to support responses and follow-up to reports of electoral offences, including human rights violations and hate speech, in cooperation with other institutions. And I think this is a very important contribution to the efforts to pursue accountability. And as the United Nations, we will continue to support all efforts across Kenyan institutions and civil society to pursue accountability and uphold the right of Kenyans to participate in free and fair elections. Asanteni sana.
Na kuna hiyo namba labda nitaisoma ndio watu waweze kuitumia. 0800 723377 0800 723377 and 011 09 39802 011 09 39802. I therefore then launch the call center.
Tunaahidi mashtaka yenye haki na usawa.
I hope you've seen how the call center works, and of course the launch by the DPP. It's quite a big deal because we need to be accessible to the public, and that is what this call center is all about. Like I said earlier, you're free to call, you're free to report an offense, and of course the ODPP will take the necessary steps. They may inform other agencies that need to come in and help you resolve it, or they may even direct an investigation because like we live and learn from this show today, there are some instances where the DPP can direct investigations to be done. So karibu sana once again. So I'm just taking you back a bit. Normally we give you highlights of the court, and it's just what I want to do right about now. Just a quick roundup, and of course the disclaimer is it is not exhaustive. Just a few cases that we've picked from the courts that you may have missed or that you feel that you need to hear them again. So the first case is an interesting case. I think you saw it on social media about a man who who assaulted a police officer during a shisha raid. So this man allegedly assaulted a police officer after he was found with shisha at a social joint in Nairobi West. He will remain in custody awaiting sentencing after he pleaded guilty to another charge of selling a banned substance. So shisha is banned. Innocent Alusiola admitted that he was found selling shisha when he was arraigned before Kibera Chief Magistrate Anne Mwangi. So he's going to be sentenced on 17th of August after his social inquiry report is tabled. We talked about social inquiry, I think, some time back when we were talking about bail and bond, but definitely we can come back to the discussion another time. So he denied assaulting Corporal Mohammed Buke of Akila Police Station during the arrest. Alusiola was charged with assaulting and injuring Buke on 23rd July, contrary to Section 103 of the National Police Service Act of 2011. He's accused of assaulting Buke jointly with others at large. In mitigation, Alusiola told the magistrate, Ms. Mwangi, that he was not selling the shisha but enjoying it with friends. In the charge of assaulting a police officer, he was granted a cash bail of 30,000 Kenyan shillings. Interesting case there. The next case is a woman asks court not to release son who was charged with the wife's murder. A 40-year-old lorry driver charged with the murder of his wife has been denied bond following negative feedback from his mother. Remember that social inquiry report? People get asked before some decisions are made. So Mr. Mura Awad will remain at the Shimolatewa Remand Prison for an unknown period after the High Court declined his bond request. Mombasa High Court Judge Anne Onginjo told the suspect that his mother was worried about his security if he was released from prison. Mr. Awad was charged with the murder of his 29-year-old wife, Nuru Ibrahim. Police allege that the suspect killed a woman at the couple's residence in Kanamai, Kilifi County after a domestic dispute. He allegedly committed the offense on 19th of June this year. Mr. Awad has been in detention since he was arrested. He pleaded not guilty to the charges after being declared fit to stand trial. Asking the court to deny him bond, prosecutors argued that he was likely to influence his children not to give their testimony. The children are witnesses in the case, and their statements have not yet been recorded. Quite a sad story there. In another case, a Nairobi businessman was charged with obtaining 10.7 million Kenya shillings in fake US military tender deal. A city businessman has been charged before Milimani law courts on Wednesday, August 3rd, 2022, with obtaining 10.7 million Kenya shillings. He actually obtained 10.7 million Kenya shillings over a fake US military tender deal. Appearing before Chief Magistrate Wendy Kagendo, Mohammed Kasim Salat denied one charge of obtaining money by false pretenses that were leveled against him by the state. I'm about to say the audacity. Quite interesting stories from the court. The prosecution alleged that Kasim on 19th of January 2022 at Isili Shopping Center in Starehe Sub-County, Nairobi County, obtained 10.7 million from Abdurrashid Abdullahi Omar by falsely pretending that he would jointly venture into a tender for supply of food and jet oil to the US military base in Somalia. The prosecution did not oppose the accused person being released on bail, but urged the court to have him deposit his passport to avoid him jumping bail. The case will be mentioned on August 18, 2022. This is another story that quite made the headlines on social media. A former children's home director was jailed 100 years for defiling minors. Stephen Zoke Motisia, a former director at a children's home, will serve 100 years in jail for defiling 4 minors. The suspect was found guilty of the offense by Nairobi Principal Magistrate Zainab Abdul. The court was told that while defiling the minors, Zuki would quote the Bible in convincing them that it is right that the Bible allowed it. The offenses were committed between 2010 to 2016, and during the hearing, the minors identified Nzuki as the abuser. Quite a twisted story there. The prosecution said that he committed the offense at Scream Africa Safe Child Home, the name itself, and Vijiko School in Utawala, Nairobi. Nzuki had denied multiple charges of sodomy, committing indecent acts with children, and attempted defilement. This is just terrible. But, yeah. And finally, the last story is about Basmati babes. So a Basmati babe, if you know the story, was charged in court for spiking a man's drink and robbing him of 1.1 million. A woman has been arraigned at the Milimani law courts for allegedly spiking a man's drink in Umoja Estate, Nairobi, and robbing him of 1.1 million. Appearing before Chief Magistrate Wendy Kagendo, Caroline Jerry Mushiri was charged that on May 29, 2021, she administered a stupefying chemical substance known as salicylate poisoning, APYCY, on Bernard Cheruyot Chuchur at Reister's guest house in Umoja Estate with an intent to steal from him. Well, so you know about the Basmati babes, kwekewa mchele kwa drink, that's why they're called Basmati babes. The court heard that the woman also unlawfully transferred money amounting to 1.1 million from Cheruyot's Equity Bank and National Bank accounts into her several bank accounts and M-Pesa account. Jerry, who was busted with a pack containing the 1 milligram tablets of that chele, was also said to have stolen Cheruyot's mobile phone and ATM cards. She was released on a cash bail of 300,000 or an alternative bond of 1 million. The case will be consolidated with her co-accused on 17th of August 2022. I'm about to give a disclaimer. People need to be careful about Basmati babes. But well, those are the roundups from the courts, and thank you so much for joining me. And we just want to get right into our discussion today. We, of course, are in the election period. And during election, a lot of things happen. And one of those things that really make us look bad is SGBV, sexual gender-based violence. it is used as a tool for violence. If you read text about SGBV during elections, it's about just making the vulnerable, especially women and children, hurting them so that they don't participate in the process, or sometimes just stopping them totally from even knowing what's going on, or using the opportunity when security is maybe concentrated elsewhere to now perpetrate this, this ill SGBV. So I have a panel of eminent people, is it? Distinguished guests. And I'd like them to introduce themselves. I'll start from you and tell us why you're calling yourself Shosh.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for having me here. My name is Rosalind Mkabana. I work with Nairobi Metropolitan Services. I head the Gender-Based Violence Unit, where I coordinate the program in terms of promoting gender equity, equality, services, and contributing to the elimination of sexual and gender-based violence and harmful practices. Yeah, and yes, I'm called Shosh because that's the name. I think my white hair has just made it that. So when you say Shosh, you just don't call me Shosh. You just have to say Manyanga because this cannot go with just Shosh. Thank you.
I get that. So is your mandate within or without the NMS County? Are you just?
I am working within the Nairobi Metropolitan Services Health Department, heading the unit. Okay. Yeah.
So you get interest from the public as well?
Yes, we do. We actually serve the public through response and management of clinical for survivors of sexual and gender-based violence, and also supporting the caregivers in terms of psychosocial support. Okay. Yes.
Karibu sana to the show.
Asante.
Shosh Manyanga.
Kabisa.
Karibu sana, and please introduce yourself.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me here. My name is Helen Onkwani. I serve as a principal magistrate, Makadara Law Court. And in another capacity, I serve as the secretary for the International Association for Women Judges, Kenya chapter.
Where?
Yes.
Title Mzito.
Yes, it's not a big title as such, because as the association, our mandate is actually to ensure that the rights of women and children are protected and the vulnerable. And also another mandate that we have is to advise the CJ on issues, policy regarding women and children. And also as a judiciary as a whole, we are here to protect the rights of everyone. Yes. And I'm very happy that you've called us here today so that we can discuss matters pertaining sexual and gender-based violence during elections. Because we've seen it really goes up.
It's a big
during
thing,
the election period. Asante sana.
Karibu sana to the show.
Thank you.
The only gentleman with us.
Thank you so much for inviting us as an agency. My name is Calvin Already. I'm in charge of communication and public relations at the Witness Protection Agency. What we'd like to say is that we are honored to be here. I know there are many issues about witness protection, and I was discussing with the Shosh. Shosh Manyanga. She was saying we really need much awareness, people to understand what's our role, what's our mandate, how do they get in touch with us. This is really key to reach out. Well, Honorable Helen here was saying we need to really reach out through their CUCs also. It's a good medium. So our role basically is to give that special protection to witnesses who are intimidated or threatened. For cooperating with law enforcement agencies.
Karibu sana to the show.
Thank you very much.
I'm about to say the reason for us being here, but you are our host. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you very much, Anita, for airing this show. My name is Jacqueline Njagi, the head of sex and gender-based violence at the ODPP, and I am happy today to be here with some of our stakeholders who will play a critical role in the election, during the election period, because we know sexual and gender-based violence has always been part of the election process. I say this because I know women form the largest, the largest number in terms of the population, and they are vulnerable as well as our children. We are not saying that men are not vulnerable, but women bear the greatest brand when it comes to election violence. Yes, thank you.
Karibu sana to your to your show. So just give us a bit of an overview about the rapid reference guide that was launched, the one you're holding. What is it about? And and why is it important that we have it?
Okay, the ODPP launched a rapid reference guide. That is a rapid reference guide on prosecution of sex and gender-based violence cases. The process was informed by the fact that quite a number of offenses occur every year. We are not saying that sex and gender-based violence only occur during election, but it's always every time. So we needed to inform our prosecutors on how to go about dealing with gender-based violence offenses and making their work lighter. By if they identify an offense has been committed, they're able to refer to this guide and be able to identify the evidence that they need to identify the ingredients of that offense so that we are able to get convictions. Of course, the judicial process is not just about convictions, but access to justice generally. Yes.
Okay. So what were some of those gaps that have been filled by this, especially in terms of evidence? What was not happening, and what are you seeing this guide doing to fill that gap?
One thing we should know is that much as we are prosecutors, we keep getting new people in the system, new prosecutors in the system. Apart from going through the induction process, they also need to know how they will prosecute SGBV cases. So, like I have said before, we needed to at least make it easier for them to be able to draft a charge sheet for, sex and gender-based violence cases by identifying the ingredients, by actually confirming before the matter goes to court that all the evidence has been packaged properly, so that now we are able to go through the court process properly. If you look at the rapid reference guide, it also has what we call victim considerations. What is it that we will look out for when we have a victim for SGBV? Remember, we have a policy, the SGBV division, that we do not rush an SGBV case to court before we deal with other issues that come before going to court, like psychosocial support. That is why we have our colleague here from NMS. They have the psychosocial component. Of course, we also need to pre-trial the victims and prepare them for the court process. We need to put them in the right mind before they go to court. So some of those issues have been highlighted in this guide.
All right, that's good. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Shoshmanyanga, we come back to you.
Yes,
we
please.
like defining things in this show, and maybe for the person watching for the first time, what is SGBV? How does it manifest? What do you see when you, how do you identify an SGBV case?
Thank you so much. Let me say, identifying for a sexual and gender-based violence case is I prefer using the word survivor, someone who has undergone violations that are very, very private in terms of violating someone's rights within the context of using sex as a weapon. And that in most cases, identifying such cases is very challenging in terms of, unless they come to us, it's not very easy for us to get them at the level that we are in terms of where I am working. That is in the health sector. Yeah.
So what cases do you see in your office?
Wow.
Yeah.
We see bad cases. I always give an example of how I ended up here. I was working some years back in Bagavi Hospital, and we got a case of twins who had been violated by an uncle. And the reason that was brought by this uncle later on was that his brother was not supposed to have given birth to twins from the customs or the traditions where he comes from. Unfortunately, I come from the same tribe, Luyas, where we believe that twins as firstborns are omen. So he brought in the excuse that the mother had told him, the grandmother now to the kids, that it's going to be an omen for your firstborn brother to have twins. So if there's a way you can find a way of killing these children, then it will be okay. So he tried as much as he could, and the easiest way for him was to defile these children. So these children were brought to us through the maternal and neonatal child health clinic, and the nurses noticed that the children, whatever was happening to them, and we rushed there and we saw. Fortunately, it was on time. However, the worst part of it is that one of the children had to go to theater, and we were able to then do a hysterectomy. The children are now 21 years. But we had, one of the caregivers came and told me, I will bring these children to you when they are about to start their menses. You explain to the other one why she can't get, because we had already done a hysterectomy. So we get very, very different cases. We have defilement for children below the ages of 18, both male and female, sodomy. We have the oldest client we've ever seen I've seen in my profession. We saw a 79-year-old woman. That was the 2007 elections. And the youngest at that time was 4 years. So we get these cases quite often. And then now we are seeing a small, an emerging issue where we're calling them the Romeos and Juliet, peer-to-peer. There was a time when we also thought the transgenerational, where the older men were having sex with the younger guys, with the younger children, but now we are seeing that it's both.
Both meaning women
both
and
meaning
men.
And yes. And a good thing is that we are now also having, yes, we are now having men also coming up to report cases of rape and sodomy, and we are also able to provide support to them at our facilities. So there are quite a number, and I'm looking at last year. Last year, Nairobi Metropolitan Services saw 5,440 cases of sexual and gender-based violence. And the saddest thing, and I'm glad I'm here on this show, is that out of that, only 242 cases were able to go to court. And of the 242 cases that went to court, only 24 were able to see a positive conviction. So even as we are seated here and looking at this guide, it's going to be very supportive for us in terms of chain evidence of management of custody of chain from the community.
So that has been a big problem. Evidence.
It's a big problem. Yes.
And then visibility of evidence.
That has been a very big problem for us. And then even after we get evidence, sometimes the withdrawal of cases from the caregivers or from the survivors themselves. And then what we call chini ya maji agreements. Yes. There are quite a lot.
There are many.
Yes.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
That is quite a number. Yeah. That is quite a number. So, Honorable Helen, why is SGBV quite prevalent during election? What's the connection?
Thank you for that question. I think SGBV is being used as a tool to coerce people to do whatever they want. If, for example, I was to appear wearing blue in an area or a territory that is yellow, then what is it going to be? For the men, they will look at me as a woman that, we are going to coerce her. What can we do to her to dehumanize this person? What is the easiest tool that we have? I think that is where society has gotten to the point. And maybe to come to the point that Shosh was talking about the cases that we have in court. There are many responses that now are being done by the judiciary to deal with these cases, which are so many. The GBV courts. We launched one under the initiative of
where
the
is
women,
it, by the way?
Shanzu Law Court, and a magistrate has already been posted to that court.
Just to deal with GBV?
Yes. And I know
makes it feel like a pandemic.
It's in the pipeline that the Chief Justice is going to launch more courts to deal with gender-based violence. And also we have a sex offenders register under the Chief Registrar of the Judiciary. But this register only records the cases which have been finalized. So once a case has been finalized, whether it's an acquittal or a conviction, then the register is available. But now the problem that we are getting as well is especially when the magistrates are transferred to other stations. The Criminal Procedure Code, Section 200, subsection 3, requires that the accused person needs to be informed that they can elect for their case to start de novo, to start afresh. So in such a situation, you get that a child maybe who is 4 years old testified 4 years ago or 5 years ago, and they're being recalled back to give their evidence. And that is a tool that now is being used more by actually the perpetrators to delay the cases in courts. It is a trend. And also another trend that is emerging is that sexual and gender-based violence now is in the homes. It's not the way we knew that it is someone out there. It is actually in the homes. Most of the cases, like the court where I work, most of the cases are actually from the homestead, the parents. Because of the working conditions, you find that the mother is maybe working some days and then leaves the children with the father. then the father is the perpetrator. Then even for a parent, for the mother to come to realize, it will take a long time because the child is living in the same homestead. And also you remember the perpetrators, the accused persons have rights under the Constitution. They're supposed to be released on bond and bail. And that is the question that I will be asking the Witness Protection Agency. How many safe houses do we have? Because then here we are at a catch-22 situation. Everyone is entitled to be released on bond and bail. But then here, it is a perpetrator who is from the same homestead with the survivor. Then how do we deal with this?
So when do they come in? Before you go, tell us about the sex registry, the offenders list. So how does it work?
What happens is that from our courts, we have court assistants, isn't it? Once the case has been finalized and when we are doing the returns, isn't it? There's a form that is usually filled immediately. A judgment has been delivered. And whether conviction or sentence and the number of years, whether it's life imprisonment, 20 years or 15 years. Then that report is sent to the office of the Chief Registrar of the Judiciary. So it's accessible.
All right.
Yes.
So when quote unquote, if an offender has been served their time, and they come out, that still hangs on them?
Just the register is there. And also I know the DCI will have taken the fingerprints and everything.
So wherever you go,
already, you're just known. But I don't know now how the follow-up mechanism for such an offender, whether there's a follow-up mechanism to the society where they will be.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
And maybe next time you need to invite the prison department so that then they can tell us exactly what happens after they have served. What is the follow-up mechanism, or which ones do we have? Thank you.
Maybe just to add to what Honorable Nkwani has said is that the beauty about this register is that me and you can inquire. For instance, because of the house helps we have, you get a house help, a house boy, or anyone to work for you in the office. You can inquire on their conduct if they have a previous record on sexual violence.
Where do you ask? Where do you get that information?
The register is at the judiciary, the office of the chief registrar. You can write and get all the information you want.
But you know how life happens. You want a house girl now. Then unaambiwa niliona mwingine amesimama pale nje, muingize kwa nyumba yako. Then now, But I guess people need to be more diligent, about these things. Calvin.
Yes.
Safe houses. Do we have them for SGBV victims?
Okay, thank you very much. And Honorable Helen has mentioned about that need. And it's also our concern when some of these perpetrators of such crimes are released. Because for us, it becomes a headache. And of course, they have a large network of accomplices. And when they're out there, of course, the immediate thing they do is to scare those witnesses. And usually what we do, we usually invoke Section 4 of our Act, which allows us to seek protection orders from court. And this makes these witnesses who are threatened to be given safety. So when they are denied bail, they're accused. For us, we seek the court to deny them bail.
So do you participate in the court process, or are you invited to participate? How does it work? How do you know who needs protection?
Okay, we have an elaborate system and work together with the other sector agencies, more so the ODPP, when they are prosecuting those cases, the investigators, the DCI, they're able to know at that initial level that the witness they're handling has a very critical evidence. And then the levels of threat to this witness are high. So when they realize that, they get in touch with us.
Oh, they call you.
Yes, get in touch with us, and then we are able to assess. We undertake a threat and risk assessment to determine who are these people threatening this witness, and have those threats been reported to the police, where we can pick up from there. Then from there now we know how do we keep these witnesses in the program. There's a process that we undertake.
Okay. May I talk about the safe houses?
Yes.
One thing that we noted as part of the end-to-end chain for sexual and gender-based violence survivors and access to justice is also the need for us to have safe houses. Unfortunately, like for us in Nairobi, we do not have a county-led shelter. However, working with partners and also with the NMS leadership, and with a very big support from the International Association of Women Judges last year, we were able to get our Lieutenant Major General Mbadi, who committed to ensuring that we have safe houses in Nairobi.
Okay.
We have commissioned the first safe house, which was supported by partners. It's supported by the Nairobi City County Government, the Nairobi Metropolitan Services, the National Government and Affirmative Fund Action, and also the State Department of Gender Affairs. And we were hoping, if it was not the electioneering period, we would have already done our groundbreaking ceremony.
Okay. Oh.
Other than that, working with the Nairobi City County Government, we also identified some of the shelters that were being used for street families rehabilitation. Yeah, and working with partners again, we were able to hive off a part of it and come up with a safe space, a safe shelter for survivors. It is ongoing now, and actually using this forum to be able to get support to actually have it now for us to actualize it. But that notwithstanding, we have partners.
Yeah.
And partners who have shelters within where we work, and they've been very, very supportive. And also there is a shelters network forum, and we try as much as possible to also ensure that these shelters are very, very private, so that because we have had a case where we rescued a girl a child actually, all the way from Kwale, brought to Nairobi, but apparently the perpetrator was able to get to that home and actually organized to have that, because she was pregnant, to have something done to her, and then the child was, the pregnancy was terminating. But God is good, we were able to save the girl, and we were able to get evidence. And the good thing is that the perpetrator was jailed. So yes, we are in the process of having shelters, but we need the county governments to commit. We need our county integrated development plans to have shelters as a need, just the same way we are providing funds for roads or for any other. We need funds to be given to prioritize shelters.
It looks like a very, very serious problem in Kenya. I mean, there are courts now specifically for GBV. There are all these institutions working. What is wrong? Is it culture? Is it our culture? Has society become extra evil? What is going on?
Maybe I can go on that one. And the big question is, like Shosh said, why there are so many cases which are reported, but very minimal cases are prosecuted. What could be the problem? I think the problem is the compromise of the witnesses. Yes, and then we have loss of evidence. What is this process from the time that the case is reported to the police station, the preservation of the evidence? What do Kenyans need to know? That if a child was defiled, you need to keep those clothings, you need to take them to the medical doctor immediately, so that then they can be examined and that report is taken immediately. But the first thing they will do is to clean up the mess and then try to find out what is happening, then try to soul search. If it happened in the family, they are trying to talk to the family and all that, and then it is settled within the family. And then there is lack of police surgeons. Luckily, unluckily, we lost 2 of our police surgeons who were serving the whole of Nairobi, and they died due to COVID. Yes. Okay. So now most of the cases actually have stalled in court for a long time, because without the medical report, then the cases, even if they have been prosecuted, it is a waste of time. So finally, we have one police sergeant who is serving the whole of Nairobi. Most of the times, like in court, we comes to Makadara Law Courts only on Wednesdays. So they have days they go to different courts every day of the week. In Makadara, we are 10 of us, 10 courts. So we have to wait for that one doctor. And maybe you have 3, 4, 5 cases of SGBV, and you're waiting for this one doctor. Maybe the plea is that, please, let's have more police doctors so that then they can hasten the process. Yes. So also we have problems because we want this process to be end-to-end process. From the point someone has been arrested to prosecution, to court, and then to sentencing and all that. That is the only way we can solve this problem. But now the problem is that you will order for the witness statements to be supplied. Then the prosecution will tell you, we have no photocopier, we have no papers, we have no...
People are going digital now.
So sometimes you have to tell them, please make sure you tell your court assistant, carry this file, go with this person. make sure they get the documents. Otherwise, the next time they come to court, the matter is not going to proceed if they don't have the documents. Yes.
Okay.
And so the issue of the doctors, just before I forget, the issue of the doctors, just as Honorable has said, we had to come in and ensure that we have doctors posted within the GBV unit in NMS that will now specifically be going to court. And that we have done. We have about 4 doctors stationed at Mama Lucy Hospital, Pumwani Hospital, Mbagathi Hospital, and also now we're going to do one at Mukuru Health Center. And as she said, on issues of carrying papers, we are hoping to digitalize some of our post-rep care forms and have them on, digital, so that at least we are able to reduce this workload.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jackie, the decision to charge, how do you make the decision to charge on SGBV cases? What is it that you want to see or you want to take to court? So that Honorable Mukwana doesn't tell you, Rudi tena.
Let me go back a bit. Even before we go to the decision to charge, challenges begin at the P3 stage. Okay. We have had a challenge when it comes to, I have talked to a few of our survivors, and the challenge is that even getting the P3 form, you have to pay. This is a very vulnerable, maybe poor person who has to part with 3,000 shillings. Remember, and this is a government, in some instances, 3,000 shillings to get a P3 form. In the best case scenario, as they call it, is 1,500. So challenges in SGBV cases begin at the first point of call. That is the medical facilities. Reporting again in the police stations is hard because some of our investigators are not sensitized on handling victims or survivors of gender-based violence. Now, back to your question. In issues of decision to charge, remember, we have to look at all the requirements when it comes to decision to charge. Is the evidence sufficient? Can we get a conviction? So it's not special. It's not out of what we do in other cases. The evidence has to be sufficient to stand a conviction. It has to, all those things. So it is never special when we are looking at another offense. We also have to satisfy the requirements.
Okay.
Yes.
But then I'm an SGBV victim.
Yes.
Say I've been raped. What should I do? Maybe just to be a bit specific on the evidence. What exactly do you want me to do?
Okay.
What's my first thing? What's the first thing I need to do?
Okay, Honorable Onkwani has mentioned something towards that end. She has said as a first victim, as a victim of SGBV, one thing that the mistake the victims make or survivors is, you feel dirty if you're violated.
Yes.
If you're violated, you feel dirty, and the first thing that you do is shower. That is eliminating evidence. Okay. We always encourage them, and we've always talked to survivors or their families to report as the victim is, so that it becomes easy to collect the evidence. Yeah. And now the other issue is we also sensitize the investigators on how to store the evidence, not in a nylon paper, but in a khaki envelope. You see, so that you preserve this evidence.
What is it about the nylon paper that destroys evidence?
Moisture destroys evidence when it comes to SGBV, when it comes to evidence. So we encourage the investigator to store that evidence. And then going forward, like I mentioned, before we go to court, we have NMS who will help us, who will help the victim walk through the process before going to court. So there's psychosocial support, there's medical support, and any other support. And to mention, once they get to judiciary, we have the issues of bail and bond. We also have, now from our end, before we go there, we also do an assessment. My colleague from Witness Protection Agency mentioned that once we interact, or the investigator interacts with a witness or a victim, they need to assess where this person needs witness protection or victim protection. If they do, they will grant them protection or in a safe house, that is in a undisclosed area. If not, now we go to court. Once we have finalized the process with NMS, we go to judiciary and we start the process. But Honorable Onkwani has also mentioned the challenge lies in documentation.
I was about to ask you that.
We must admit, and also Honorable Onkwani must admit, things have really changed. It was not like those other years where we would pick one paper from, for photocopying from the police station, from how we would go for papers, so that we photocopy the statements and any other document that is needed by both the survivor and the accused person. So as ODPP, we have been talking to our prosecutors and telling them that we need to assist the victims and the accused persons. By the time we are going to court, let us have all the documents handed over to them so that we do not waste time during the court process getting necessary adjournments for us to supply the statements. So at least we are not yet there, but we are getting there. And DPP has really tried to facilitate all our prosecutors so that we are able to also facilitate the victims and survivors and the accused persons in terms of getting the statements before they go to court. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, interesting. Kevin, as Mwananchi, can I come to you directly, or should the story, the case, go through the courts? Can I reach out to you and tell you, I am a witness to this, but I'm afraid that if I start talking, I'll be in trouble. So is there a way I can reach you directly, or should I wait for the case to go to court, then you can come in?
Okay, there are various ways you can reach us. You're just talking about admission to the program.
Yeah.
So one of the key ways, the witness himself or herself can directly reach us, because he or she is able to detect that my life is in danger. For example, you can get unknown calls all the time. You can get text messages threatening you.
Yeah.
Sometimes they can use even sign language. You are walking the streets there, somebody is showing you this kind of gesture. Then you panic because you know there's a crime witness somewhere. So what we encourage them is they can call us, they can go to our offices. We have our offices in Milimani Law Courts, 4th floor, room 413. That's the principal office to reach out to the public.
Yeah.
Then they can also reach us through the website. Through the website, we have those forms there. They can download. Particularly if it's the witness himself, there's a Form A. The witness can fill that form and then email us.
Sounds like those election things.
Yeah. And then two, also a lawyer who is having a case in court might sense that my client is endangered. So what do I do? So on his own volition, he can seek to reach us.
Yeah.
Then we pick up from there, because he'll explain the circumstances, and obviously we'll have reported the police, because we encourage them to report the police first. Then they're given the OB number. So we follow from the police station, and we're able also to liaise with them, what levels of threats are they getting, and then how serious are they? Because some you might find you have fought in the house, then you come and say, I need protection.
But I need protection.
Yes.
So how do you protect me at that point?
Yeah, that's why we say we have to do the threat and risk assessment.
Okay.
Why is that person
How long does it take to do that assessment?
Okay, it depends on case by case. For example, for SGBV cases, they are quite severe. So what we do, we give temporary protection. We pick in if a child has been defiled or somebody raped. As we do further investigation in terms of threat and risk, we are keeping that person in our temporary safe house.
Okay.
Then as the situation improves in terms of formalization, because we have to reach out to the police. Yeah. If it's an ongoing case in court, the prosecutor, then we keep the person. And there are requirements. If he meets within that period, usually 7 to 14 days, we should be able to have done that. Then we can determine whether to put that person in. But usually they're serious, so the threat and risk assessment will inform us now, and we sign a consent. There's a document called Memorandum of Understanding between us and the person. And if it's a minor, there will usually be a guardian to that minor. who will sign for consent.
Okay.
Then we put the person in the program. And where we keep the person in the safe house now.
Yeah. So you have safe houses and you take these people?
Yes, we do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we work with the other stakeholders.
That is where you check?
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
And in fact, I just wanted to also bring in on the issue that Jackie had talked about on the services provided within the health sector. We have what we call minimum initial service package, where when the survivor comes in, we insist that we're in our facilities, actually for Nairobi County, among the so many health facilities we have what we are calling SGBV integrated facilities. Mm-hmm. When a survivor comes in, where we need to see you, we have specified rooms that we are now calling Tumaini clinics. Part of the reason we called them that is provision of dignity to the survivor, to restore hope. Mm-hmm. So that you're given the clinical care, you're given, if it's a reproductive health survivor, we make sure you get the ECP or the emergency contraceptive pill. Mm-hmm. We do the HIV test, we provide you with the PEP.
So who brings me here, the police?
It depends. Now, the referral pathway is very clear, depending on where the survivor has come from. If it's from the home and it's been reported by the police will come in. If they go and report to the police will bring them. Mm-hmm. And then there's just what we call sometimes the community brings in. And sometimes when the community brings in, they also bring you with the perpetrator. And it's important to note that even the perpetrator deserves a right to be examined at that particular time and provided with the services, even as we document.
Have you seen the shock on my face?
Yes, I've seen, I'm worried. Yes, the perpetrator also deserves to be provided with the health management. And then we ensure that the challenges, again, in terms of what Jackie has talked about, preparing a case, we have also had a challenge in documentation from the health sector. Mm-hmm. And we have taken a step further and ensured that our healthcare providers have been trained on proper documentation. Mm-hmm. So that whoever, you might not be, the way Honorable said that we don't have enough police surgeons, you might need someone else to go to court to go and present it as an expert witness who is a healthcare provider. Yeah. But when you have poor documentation, then it's the case. That's why maybe we have less convictions, also from our end as health. Yeah. But we have put mechanisms in place. We have done our sensitizations. We've provided healthcare workers with what is needed. We have communicated the same to the community health volunteers because they also have a role to play as they bring the survivor to the facility. Yeah. Because sometimes the survivors come from them. So they bring them also to the healthcare worker, to the health facility, and we ensure that that minimum package is provided. We ensure the 4 steps are followed, provision of clinical management, psychosocial support, access to legal justice is when we start it at that particular time, and ensure that everything is done from our end so that we are not giving any room for this survivor not to get access. Yeah. But we also need to remember that it's not only the survivor we are looking at. We are looking at a wholesome family, the caregivers, or any other person who has also been affected by this person being defiled or being raped. And doing that, that's why we have support groups, psychosocial support. We have mental health facilities that are providing the same. We also have toll-free numbers that we are able to allow them to call. And we ensure that in all our facilities, we are lucky enough, Nairobi, that we have what we are calling the Gender Violence Recovery Center for Nairobi Women's. However, for us as public facilities, we might not be in a position to put up a GVRC. We have made sure that we integrate these services. When someone comes to what we call a level 2, that is a dispensary, you should be provided with the services. What they might not be able to do, then let them refer. Appropriate referral with proper documentation. Yes.
Quite interesting. You wanted to say something?
Yes, I wanted to say something on the Witness Protection Agency. As much as they are working with the other stakeholders, I think the Nyumba Kumi, the chiefs, the police stations, and even everyone else needs to know about the Witness Protection Agency, because this is where we get a problem. Is that there is now, like I said, most of these cases now are done in the home state. By the time someone is reporting, then they're wondering, where will I run to? What will be happening to me?
This is my home.
Yeah, this is my home. And I saw the shock on your face about the accused person or the perpetrator being examined and being given medical attention, psychosocial support as well. You don't know why they did so. Because now we have actually children who are committing sexual and gender-based violence, isn't it? So you're wondering what is happening in the homestead. We have now many cases
but then
where
what is happening?
children are actually even practicing lesbianism in the home. They were taught by the house girl. So imagine this is a victim or a child who is a perpetrator, has been brought to LMS and needs that care. Also, as the accused persons who are of age, of course, the adults and all that. Sometimes you'll find that they sexually assaulted this child and they got pregnant. The DNA is a critical component for the court to secure, for the prosecution to secure a conviction, isn't it? So they have to be examined at that point, their DNA to be extracted. Maybe the child is pregnant and all that, so that then they can be able to get that evidence to secure a conviction. As a judiciary, we now have actually initiatives. We have witness expenses. They are refunded. So most of the times they will tell you they will relocate. Like if an offense was committed in Nairobi, maybe they will send the child to stay up country. So we have witness expenses. They will be refunded.
So you facilitate
Once
them
they
to go.
come to court, they will provide the receipt, and then we make an order for them to be refunded the witness expenses. So it shouldn't be a problem. And we tell the investigating officers, kindly inform the witnesses, the prosecution, that judiciary will be able to refund the witness expenses so that the witnesses can come to court and testify. Also, we have directives from the CJ on the children who are perpetrators of sexual and gender-based violence. Those children, because they are vulnerable and they're young, they need to be provided with an advocate by the state. So we can't even take that plea before an advocate has been appointed. So every court has a pool of advocates who are in the panel. So what we do, you just make an order in court. One will be called, or you'll find, actually most you'll find some are in court, and then they will say, I am in the list for, they apply through the Law Society of Kenya. So then they can be able to represent this child so that their rights are protected. And also maybe for the general public, they need to know that these cases of sexual and gender-based violence, of course, it's a lot of shame to say how someone did ABCD. And even sometimes the children, even speaking those names, the private parts, stating them in court, it becomes very embarrassing. So we have mechanisms in the court. We hear them in camera. We ask them whether they are comfortable with anyone who is not, at least then they are heard in camera. They are not heard with everyone else in court.
We once hosted a lady from IPOA, and she told us a very interesting example, that it is if you don't walk into the office and say, good morning people, I had glorious sex. So in the same breath, nobody will come and say, excuse me, I have been raped. So it is very difficult to talk about this, but it's very important to know that you can actually speak about this thing on camera. Is it in camera? So that it's not,
You can imagine a mother calling you, she has woken up, gone to the bathroom, and finds her two children, 14 and 7 years, having sex. And even as she talks to them, they are not shocked. Yeah, because it's been the norm. Only to find out that the house help has been taking pornographic movies and pornographic videos on her phone and sending them to somebody for money. That's the type where Honorable was talking about issues of children. So we get this case and we go there, and lucky enough, I think for me, when she called, she was devastated. So when she called us, when we went there, the first thing that came to my mind is take the house help's phone. Only to find this, and we're able to get her convicted.
Thank you so much. Honorable Mkwan has brought up a very pertinent issue about awareness. I know it's a big challenge for us, and principally I think it's due to the way we operate, because we are entirely covert. So in our operations, it becomes difficult to reach out, but we've made deliberate attempts. One, we've tried to engage partners within the justice sector. And we do so through, for example, the judges and magistrates when they're having their annual events, the colloquium, Honorable, isn't it?
Yes. True.
We deliberately seek to be included in the program. Then we talk about what we do, our role, our mandate, and how we can collaborate with the judiciary. Then two, through the National Council on Administration of Justice, there's the Court Users Committee. That now helps us to have that large network where we can engage with the stakeholders in various court stations. And I was talking to Honorable here before they said, I was asking her why she doesn't invite us of late, and she used to invite us. And she has promised to reactivate that network. So it's very key because it helps us now to reach out. We're able to listen and know where are these cases of people who need protection, because you have the police in those meetings, you have the local communities, and they're able to raise those issues, and we're able to pick them up.
Yeah.
Then 3 also, we use forums like Law Society of Kenya Awareness Week. It's a public event. Now members of the public directly come to our stand.
Okay.
And we're able to talk to them. We give them IC material, and they ask many questions about protection. Then 4, we have deliberate media campaigns. Okay. So we have shows on TV, primetime slots, where people can watch and see, and we have our contacts there. We also target radio stations, more so vernacular radio stations, because we discover they have more reach on the ground, and we do them regionally. Yeah. So people are able to understand and call us. Then one new medium we're using is to have interactive live shows on radio. You see, so those are call-ins. So you get people calling from all over the country, Kericho, Mombasa, Marsabit.
Saying they want protection?
Okay, just seeking to know inquiries on what to do when they are those circumstances. Then also how they can reach us. Then I didn't mention our offices are also in Mombasa and Kisumu, at the locals. So those are some of the ways we try to reach out to the public. Yeah. But I know it's a tall order, because reaching the whole republic is also not easy. There's the funding aspect of it. And you are aware, as government agencies, you are given money. Then before the quarter ends, it's austerity measures slashed again. But we try to reach out mostly through stakeholder partnerships, and then also donor support.
I think we need them to the community help, kule chini mashinani, where we have the gender defenders, the survivor. We have survivors networks. Yeah, we would need you down there.
And I'll tell you something, Kevin. Somebody has just put on Facebook. Somebody called Omuumi. Thanks, Omuumi, for watching and engaging. They say, I'm loving the discussion more so on the witness protection. There's a lot of interest in knowing who you are and what you do. Even for me, I need to know, because you see, what you're talking about is what I normally say. We need to leave the boardrooms and go to the ground, because that is where now we are needed. That is where people need to know they have protection should they need to report something.
Yes. That's why I was mentioning to Shosh here that when
say Shosh Manyanga. You're losing
the Manyanga aspect, Yes. Shosh Manyanga, through that partnership network, when you have events that involve the local communities, we'll gladly be willing to come and talk to those events. Yeah. The other day we were involved in some community organization called Crime CPOA. And they had a function in Kisumu, paralegal trainings. So we engaged them, and they were also to reach out to many members of the local communities. Yeah. And we are available there. They can ask questions about protection. We give them our contacts. And we have also toll-free lines. They can call and hotlines.
All right.
Anita, maybe before we lose it, maybe to add to what Honorable Nkwani said on witness expenses, just to let the public know that we also have pre-trial witness expenses. Because someone would ask, fine, the court is offering us to refund our expenses once we get to court. But how do we get to court? You see, how do we get to court? So once we, as ODPP, we decide that a person is going to, or the case is going to end up in court, we have pre-trial expenses. We cater for accommodation, we cater for transport for them to come for pre-trial, so that we are now facilitating them to the next step. And for DPP to be able to do this, he was very deliberate in forming establishing a witness support unit, which now takes which now identifies the needs of a victim or a survivor, or before they attend court. They could be identifying the needs I talked about, psychosocial, medical. This person, and then asking ourselves, will this person be able to attend court once we prepared them? So we take care of the pre-trial expenses, then the court takes care of the trial expenses. Though as ODPP we are thinking of expanding that.
I think that ought to be a deliberate.
Also on the issue of facilitation, we note that even when our healthcare providers go to court, initially they were not being supported. But as NMS, we came in and said we will be supporting them as expert witness and facilitate them for transport to go to court, so that then we are not, someone is not complaining, and then of course working together with the courts, we are able to be given an early time, so that the medical officer or the clinical officer can go back and do something. And so that's working very well for us in Nairobi, actually.
Yeah, I wanted to say that there needs to be a very deliberate discussion about the costs of reporting SGBV. Because when you mention 1,500, when you mention 3,000, it's crazy. I had a story from Kwale, I think, about the cost of reporting SGBV. Utapanda boda, utoke kwako, uache biashara yako for the day, that your mama mboga maybe or something, whatever you're doing, you leave it for the day to go report a distance to the police station. Means you have to get onto a boda. And then some of them, this was now another look at the story, this guy will ask you, unaenda wapi? Useme unataka kwenda police station kureport, mume wangu ama brother wangu alifanya kitu. So this guy now already knows you're vulnerable. So they can easily just divert with you into the kichaka and continue their business. Then you go to the police station or whatever, and then you're told, for the P3 form, leta pesa. Or I don't know how they ask it, but you have to spend money. So I think there ought to be a very deliberate discussion about the cost of reporting SGBV to make it easy. So the toll-free lines are good. We are on social, we are on websites. Like you're saying, we need to go down to the ground and have deliberate conversations to make it easy for people to report. Because as you can see, with all these measures in place, it is insane, the levels of SGBV going on.
But maybe to comment on that issue, I think as the stakeholders, we've tried our best to come together. And we are having a concerted effort so that we can have an end-to-end process. Like now in the preparedness to the election period, and having seen the reports from Human Rights Commission on the rise in cases of sexual and gender-based violence, then we've held CUC trainings where we have all the stakeholders in the hotspots in preparedness for the election period, what is going to happen. And also the judiciary actually has gazetted the judicial officers who will be handling the election offenses. If there are any SGBV cases coming out of an election process and under the Elections Act, then there are special magistrates who will be handling it and there are timelines for doing that.
All right. I just want to read quickly on Facebook's. Luke, thanks so much for joining us. He asks, the first question is, can defilement be diverted by DPP before it reaches court? Before it fike pale, can you divert a defilement case?
I think you can see all of us laughing because you cannot even start discussing on what to do with a defilement. It has to go through the judicial process or the court process. One thing you should know, and I must mention, is that we've also had the talk of plea bargaining. That diversion, it does not apply
so
to
there's
sexual
no plea
offenses.
bargaining in SGBV?
It generally sexual, yes.
All right. Okay, look, umesikia.
So then that is actually the problem that now we are having. So the parents of the children, you will find their child has even been impregnated and they're in school or they have relocated them to another place. They will hide these children so that they don't come to court to give evidence. Then they would have negotiated with an accused person or their family and they have been paid money. Then they come to court and they decide they will not speak a word. That is actually the problem that now we are getting, and they will insist that as we have resolved this issue, then you're trying to explain to them the process that, look here, this is where a child has been perpetrated and you cannot withdraw this case. But they are not understanding. Sometimes they decide completely, absolutely not to testify. We have mechanisms.
And then the society. There's one question that we keep asking. People have negotiated to get out the case from court. Where is the victim? Who has negotiated the mental status of this victim, the future of this child?
The rights,
the rights of this child. You have negotiated mumekula mbuzi zenyu kando, je mtoto naye, ama the victim generally.
And alternatives to justice, we talk about it.
A colleague was telling me about a case that she convicted, and I think an 86-year-old man, the grandfather, was defiling the granddaughter for a long time. So the child was getting STIs for a long time. The mother does not understand because the children were being left with the grandfather at home when they go trying to look to earn a living. Do you know she's traumatized as well. It's traumatized. But we are trying to talk to her, of course. And she was telling me during the sentencing, the daughter, the mother to this girl who was defiled, who is the daughter to the accused person, cried and vented out and said, look here, this is what you did to us when we were children. You defiled us. You did all this. We had to wear long clothes. We had to tie ourselves with lassos. Because we were fearing that you were going to see our legs and defile us. Now you've ended up defiling my own child. May you die in prison.
I've just gotten goosebumps.
I just wanted to also comment that as we're talking about the electoral preparedness, as NMS we've already identified and mapped out the facilities. We have already had quite a number of sessions with survivors networks, our stakeholders, and been able to put mechanisms in place. Even as I'm talking now, we have already prepositioned even medication. Trauma centers are on in in several places in Nairobi, where in the event anything happens, what can be reported. The human rights defenders, some of them are monitors, and we are encouraging everybody to document, because on issues of reparation, because we know sexual violence in elections is now an international crime. So we need everybody to be able to document this. We need anyone knowing about this, that our facilities that will be providing these services, we have already mapped out. We have passed on this information on our website, the Nairobi Metropolitan Services and the Nairobi City County Government. All you'll be able to get where we'll have these facilities that will be 24 hours. We are not going on leave. Our director has made it very clear. Nobody's going on leave until November. Let me not talk about why November, but we've been told not to go on leave. And then all our 1508, we have a toll-free number, that's 1508, which can evacuate survivors. And also using the 1195, the national GBV number. And then we also have an SMS platform, 21094. For those who cannot be able to call, you can SMS. You can text, and we'll be able, and you can try those numbers and just see.
All right. Okay. So I have a question here, one final one before we wind up. In defilement cases, if the victim tries to protect the culprit by pretending that she did not participate in the act, and here I'm thinking about those Romeo and Juliet cases, whereby the parents found the accused at the act, will that evidence be admissible? Do I have to say I have been defiled for the case to continue? Jackie?
For one,
there has to be a victim.
For one, there has to be a victim. Let me start from there. Secondly, it's not just about saying I have been defiled. There are a lot of other things that we will look into. One of them is Honorable Onkwani mentioned DNA evidence or medical evidence. We also have to, and by the way, when we are confirming, when the medical personnel is confirming whether there was a defilement or not, they take samples from both of them, right? What is in the victim and the sample from the perpetrator. So it's not just about saying that I was defiled and it ends there. But again, I must say, when it comes to the evidence of a child, at times it has to, it's believable when they say they have been defiled, because no child will wake up and say that I was defiled from nowhere. So Honorable Onkwani, when she starts hearing that case, she should also assess how the child is testifying, if it's true indeed that the offense happened or not. If it did, we know what happens. It's a conviction straight. Yes.
And maybe to add on to that, it doesn't mean that if a child was not penetrated, they were not defiled. That it doesn't mean that now this child was not defiled. Because we have had cases where men are leaking the private parts of children and doing all manner of other things. That is also defilement. Yes.
What Honorable is saying is that its penetration is not just by a sexual, organ. It could be by any other object.
Okay. All right.
Yes, it's still.
Is that in this reference guide?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so maybe just to repeat the toll-free lines, we have the 1508. That's the NMS Emergency Operational Center. Actually, we have an Emergency Operational Center. And then we have the 1195. That's the National GBV toll-free line. And then for children, we have the 116. And then we have an SMS platform, 21094, that you can send. Other than that, we also have other numbers, toll-free lines, but these ones we have shared them on contact on the websites and all over, wherever you are, or the partners working within you, within the community that you can reach out to, and we'll be able to have the linkages, because that's what now we are doing. As Honorable Nkwani said, the structures are in place, we are working together, and during this time, a lot has been done. So we are hoping as we come next week, hopefully post-elections, that we will be able to sit again here and just sit back and reflect back on whether we were on point with the preparedness or not. But we are ready. In fact, on Monday, Nairobi Metropolitan Services will be launching an SGBV clinic in Isili. This is an extension just to ensure that this is another addition. But it's an extension of the facility where we have SGBV clinic, and we are doing this in Isili because we want that community to embrace. That's where we have FGM. That's where we have early marriages. And Masla. And that's where we have Masla. So having a clinic there, launched by our own Major General, Lieutenant Major General Badi, is a big advocacy for us.
Just to add on what Shoshimanyanga is saying, also as an agency, we are prepared for elections. We have been meeting with other stakeholders in those planning committees. We have activated our regions now on high alert in Mombasa, Kisumu, and Nairobi. We have zoned them. And we also have a toll-free line, maybe I'll just wish to mention it, 0800 720 460. So in case of any issues, whether it's SGBV or election-related, they call that line, and officers are on high alert and ready for any eventuality.
Okay. I'm also obliged to read our numbers as well, so that it is all-inclusive. But maybe Jackie should read it.
Okay, before I read the numbers, I want to say, to let the public know that prosecutors have been trained to deal with these cases when they get to the ODPP. They have been trained, and we've also trained our stakeholders, WPA and other stakeholders, NCIC, to be able to identify these offenses. So our numbers, our toll-free line numbers is 0800 72 33 77, and then we also have another one, 254 110 939 802. I will repeat the second one, 254 plus 254 110 939 802. Thank you.
Correct. And that's where you have a call center.
Yes, and that's right. And it's open 24/7.
And I see, as though we are ready for elections, I'm just, from a personal level, quite worried that SGBV is such a big thing. And it almost feels like we're trying to regulate morality. You know, people's just bad manners coming out, and now they need the law to take care of them. But I hope this time round, because of the preparedness and the readiness, we shall have I'm hopeful that we have no cases, but in the event that we do, then we'll be able to deal with them. So I just want to read something on YouTube. Felix Mwanthi says he's locked. Thank you. Jane Kamau was awaiting the conversation. I hope you got the conversation. And there's Belongs comes. Hello to you too. And then very interesting, Tabitha Akoth joined the conversation and said, it's very interesting and engaging conversation here. Relevant and topical issues addressed. I'm impressed that all sectors have in place mechanisms for election-related offenses that may arise. And then then she says interagency collaboration is the way to go. No diversion or out-of-court settlements for SGBV cases. And well done to the panelists. You have been quite interesting. And I want to close the show from that point, because I think for SGBV we can talk about it the whole day. I have so many questions. What about men? Is it a silent crisis? Are we not looking at it? Are men the issue because they are mostly the perpetrators? Then what do we do for them?
Men as protectors and
men as protectors and perpetrators. Yes.
Not as perpetrators.
Oh, good.
Hashtag. Men as protectors and not perpetrators.
Good. Umesikia kutoka kwa Shosh Manyanga. So it's not always that they are the perpetrators, but they can also be victims. Yes. Yes. And also caregivers. Yes. So there's a lot that they can, a big role that they can play. It's a conversation we need to have as well. And maybe for another forum. But I wish you well. And I thank you so much for making the conversation quite engaging. I have a million questions, so I'll definitely invite you again. And we didn't even have time to unpack our document, but of course we talked about most of the things that are on the document here, and it's a good guide going forward, especially around this time.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Kenyans for election.
I feel like telling you, and finally,
be safe.
Yes,
and vote.
Yeah.
Vote.
Yes,
Thank
wisely.
Wisely is relative. All right. Thank you so much for all of those people who joined us on our social media platforms. Thank you for the questions. Thanks for engaging with us. It's a very interesting topic for me. I think I can have this topic the whole day. Talk about SGBV. There are perpetrators, there are victims, and of course there are caregivers. There's the law, there's evidence, there's so much. There's witness protection. You need to really follow them and find out where they are and follow them to their doorstep so that you know what to do when you need help. But thank you so much. You've heard about the readiness of each institution represented here. You've heard about the ODPP and our call center, and of course the numbers that have been given here. I think you're going to repeat them again on our socials. Don't be afraid. Call and ask for help. Call and report. You can be helping someone. You can be stopping an act from going on. You can actually be, of help. Very, what is it called? Be of help to the situation at hand. I want to stop there because these people are maybe now they talk too much. I want to wish you a good weekend, peaceful voting. Go vote. Make the election process as peaceful as possible. And like I said earlier, it doesn't start from any institution, but from you as a voter and as a Kenyan citizen, because Kenya need it. Sisi ndio tuko hapa. Asante. Have a nice weekend.
Shukran.
Okay.